So tell me what the forecast is for today.
The forecast for today is essentially the same forecast we've had for most of the last 3 months. Roughly about 90 degrees, sunny, with about a 20% chance of rain. It's just that 20% chance of rain is never materialized.
David Hardin's family has been farming in central Indiana since John Quincy Adams was president.
How close are you to just writing off this crop?
There are large areas in our fields that will yield essentially nothing.
In a normal year, he raises more than enough corn to feed his 12,000 hogs.
We're actually having to go out and buy corn on the open market to feed our hogs through the next year.
He says it's not just the weather that's squeezing him. 40% of the national corn harvest last year went to ethanol production under the federal government's renewable fuel standard, requiring petroleum companies to buy a minimum amount of ethanol to blend into gasoline supplies. David Hardin, along with many of his neighbors, wants the government to waive the requirement during this drought so he can compete fairly with the supply he needs instead of paying sky-high prices for what little is left. The ethanol industry opposes any changes and says its consumption of corn is down nearly 14% in the last 6 weeks.
Well, you plan for the worst and hope for the best. Is this the worst?
This is the worst I have ever seen in my lifetime, and I hope it stays the worst that I've ever experienced.
Now, experts on the ethanol market say a federal waiver this year is highly unlikely, Scott, but if the drought persists into next year, it will only intensify the battle between the ethanol industry that helps to power our cars and the livestock farmers who produce the meat we eat.
And there's no let up in sight. Dean, thanks very much.